Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Krsna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prasnayate.
Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Krsna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prasnayate.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Dayanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Dayanya,
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Dayanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Dayanya.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shivasade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shivasade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gauranga,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gauranga,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga.
Jaya Jaya Shila
Hari
Prabhupada,
Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Shila
Hari
Prabhupada,
Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Paramahamsa,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Paramahamsa,
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda, Ananda
Krishna prestaya te.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Davine, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna prestaya te.
So in the nectar of instruction, we're guided by the saintly person. Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami are close associates of Lord Chaitanya. And the subject matter that we'll be reading today is about what is favorable in the execution of pure devotional service. What will help us progress in our relationship with the Supreme Person, wherein our affection, understanding will be very focused and very close. There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service: being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, being patient, acting according to regulative principles such as Sarvanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna, abandoning the association of non-devotees, and following in the footsteps of previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. So I'll read here how we are able to come in contact with God's love, God's compassion, and His mercy through Lord Chaitanya. I offer my obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by whose mercy even the ignorant child can swim across the ocean of conclusive truth, which is full of crocodiles of various juries. By the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even an inexperienced boy with no educational culture can be saved from the ocean of nescience, which is full of various types of philosophical doctrines that are like dangerous aquatic animals. The philosophy of Buddha, the argumentative presentation of the Jnanis, the yoga system of Patanjali and Gautama, and the systems of philosophers like Kanada, Kapila, and Datreya are dangerous creatures in the ocean of nescience. By the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one can have real understanding of the essence knowledge by avoiding these sectarian views and accepting the lotus feet of Krishna as the ultimate goal of life. Let us all worship Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for his gracious mercy to the conditioned soul. So the relationship that we are trying to grasp and receive descending is God's unconditional love for us. It's not about the power, it's not about getting something, but rather how He is so affectionate to the spirit souls who are drowning in this ocean of misery. O merciful Lord Chaitanya, may the nectarian Ganges, waters of your transcendental activities, flow on the surface of my desert-like tongue. Beautifying these waters are the lotus flowers of singing, dancing, loud chanting of Krishna's holy name, which are the pleasure abodes of unalloyed devotees. These devotees are compared to the swan, ducks, and bees. The rivers flowing produces a melodious sound that gladdens their ears. Our tongue always engage in vibrating useless sound that do not help us realize transcendental peace. The tongue is compared to a desert because a desert needs a constant supply of refreshing water to make it fertile and fruitful. Water is a substance most needed in the desert. The transient pleasure derived from mundane topics of art, culture, politics, sociology, dry philosophy, poetry, and so on is compared to a mere drop of water because although such topics have a qualitative feature of transcendental pleasure, they are saturated with the modes of material nature. Therefore, neither collectively or individually can they satisfy the vast requirements of the desert-like tongue. Despite crying in various conferences, therefore the desert-like tongue continues to be parched. Parched means dry. No water. For this reason, people from all parts of the world must call for the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who are compared to swans swimming around the beautiful lotus feet of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or the bees humming around his lotus feet, in the transcendental searching for honey. The dryness of material happiness cannot be moistened by so-called philosophers who cry for Brahman, liberation, and similar other dry speculative objects. The urge of the soul proper is different. The soul can be solaced only by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his many bona fide devotees, who never leaves the lotus feet of the Lord to become imitation Mahaprabhus, but all cling to his lotus feet like bees and never leave a honey-soaked lotus flower. Lord Chaitanya movement of Christian consciousness is full of dancing and singing about the pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna. It is compared herein to the pure waters of the Ganges, which are full of lotus flowers. The enjoyers of these lotus flowers are the pure devotees, who are like bees and swans. They chant like the flowing of the Ganges, the river of the celestial kingdom. The author desires such sweetly flowing waves to cover his tongue, and he humbly compares himself to materialistic persons, who are always engaged in dry talk about which they derive no satisfaction. If they were to use their dry tongues to chant the holy names of Lord Shri Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, as exemplified by Lord Chaitanya, they would taste the sweet nectar and enjoy life. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to the devotees of Gauranga. So the process we do follow is based upon following the footsteps of the saintly person, and the process they're giving us is the chanting of the Maha Mantra. So the chanting of the Maha Mantra is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because in the Upanishad, it's already stated that the process is God descending himself to purify us, to connect us with what we're longing for. So Lord Chaitanya is the perfect example, who is giving us this process by he himself accepting a spiritual master who taught him the chanting of the holy names. And his attitude is simply obedience, faithfully following the instruction of his spiritual master, and he achieved success. So when we want to come to the point of realizing and understanding what is spiritual relationship with the Supreme Person, we must first have this wisdom of our true identity, who we really are. That the living entity, us, who is covered by this material energy, this body, we're waddling, in this material energy. And what is happening is that we're focusing our energy and trying to dive into this desert world where it's compared to a dry place, and we are longing for water. And what is happening is that because of not understanding our true transcendental nature as different from this body, and not understanding what we should be focusing due to material contamination of false bodily identification, it must be cut first. This ignorance must be cut with the sword of wisdom, and that sword of wisdom comes from someone who is the seer of the truth. So when a person follows a bona fide spiritual master, he's given this opportunity to listen through oral reception about his true transcendental nature, Sat, about his eternality. Then he begins to follow the process of purification, chanting the holy names. And he begins to realize, not just understand, but really realize that he's drowning in this ocean, and the faculty that he uses for security, enjoyment, is a different energy from his heart, his life, because it's based upon false bodily identification. So the first effect of chanting the holy names is that one becomes purified from all this false bodily identification. And then now the person, the individual, can make this decision to be responsible to establish his long lost relationship with his eternal friend, Govinda, Krsna, the Cowherd Boy, playing the role of the Cowherd Boy, enjoying his pastimes in Vrindavan. So the living entity begins to see where life is, where happiness is. Because if we are ignorant of our true identity, we will be looking in the wrong direction, taking shelter in the wrong direction, trying to find friendship in the wrong direction, because it will be connected just simply with this temporary moving world. And we will just be drowning, or we'll be in the desert, in this parched world of desert world where there is no water. So that is the situation of the living entity who has no spiritual wisdom, who has no spiritual vision. And Lord Chaitanya comes out of his love for us through the disciplic succession, and he gives us how we can traverse, how we can be safe, how we can achieve success in the right direction. And that right direction is about our eternal nature as eternally the loving servant of God. So all what we're doing here, if it's contaminated with material consideration, even though we've experienced a certain pleasure due to the modes of material nature, until and unless there's no more contamination of the modes of material nature, not pure love for Lord Krishna, will not satisfy the living entity, us. Because the only satisfaction that can fulfill what we're longing for is our pure loving affection to the Supreme Person. So that process is given to us by Lord Krishna's associate, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, and our dear Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, Jagad Guru Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, who is so merciful, who is so kind, who is so patient, who deals with us out of love and compassion. So the point I like to discuss here is that the reason why we are so attracted to our Gurudev, because of his compassion for us, his care for us. So someone who has material consideration, he's just thinking of himself. And what is that all about? It's material consideration. It's about getting money, it's about having followers, it's about enjoying the senses. So the spiritual master, we must search for someone who has no material consideration, as Sage Prabhupada tells us. Someone who is a pure loving servant of the Supreme Person. So the guidance must be from someone who is non-different from God. Our Gurudev, who is the representative of the Lord within the heart. And that can be seen and understood only by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya through the chanting of the holy names. Because by the chanting of the holy names, one can have this purity of vision and understanding about his true eternal nature. Then he can distinguish what will separate him from this relationship with the Supreme Person. So the bottom line of practicing or engaging in this practice is to have a relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, our eternal friend, who has unconditional love for us. So he comes to this material world time to time. He sends his representative so we can be with wisdom, understanding, and be guided where what direction will be heading and what engagement we should be doing. So the engagement in this age of Kali Yuga is about a process that will take care of us, will protect us, and it is God Himself, the holy names, the Sankirtan Yajna. So there is no other way to be able to be very close with the Supreme Person except through the process He's giving us Himself, the holy names, the Supreme Purifier, And to come to that point of closeness with the Supreme Person, we must follow the footsteps of the saintly person, as like Lord Chaitanya did when he approaches Varapuri and he was given this Maha Mantra, the chanting of the holy names. And the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The holy names of Lord Krishna is transcendental. It's different from material sound. The meaning of Hari means the energy of God. So when we chant the holy names, we experience enthusiasm to experience what we're longing for. The air, when a person is drowning, he needs air. So when we chant the holy names, we begin to breathe. Okay? Life. We experience life. It's like when you're drowning, you're searching for air. So coming in contact with the source of life, the source of happiness, we begin to experience God's energy. And this energy of God, Hari, and it refers to someone who protects us. And Rama means the pleasure potency of God. It gives us pleasure. And what pleasure are we longing for? It is about love. It's about affection. It's about surrendering and embracing someone who will protect us. And that relationship is established and cultivated through the process itself of the chanting of the Maha Mantra. It is the beginning and end itself. And Krishna means the all-attractive Supreme Person. We are attracted to someone who's very rich, someone who's physically beautiful, someone who's kind, someone who's compassionate, someone who's very wealthy. All these characteristics comes from Lord the Supreme Person. That's why He is the most attractive person, because all what we see here comes from Him. All what we are needing for the upkeep of this body is given to us by His servant. The air we breathe, the water we drink, all the servants of the Supreme Person provide all these amenities for the upkeep of our body. Then from this point, we can understand someone is taking care of us already. But we must be able to appreciate the opportunity that has been given to us, this material body, to have this intelligence to inquire, why am I here? Why am I suffering? What is the goal of life? Where can I find real shelter and security? And it can only be addressed and guided by following the footsteps of the saintly person. We must not be drawn outside this path of following the same footsteps of the saintly person, because we will be misdirected. For example, the spiritual master tells us, okay, this is the instruction. You walk us to this straight line, and when you reach the crossroad, just cross the road and go straight to that point. Okay? Because simply by following his instruction, we will achieve the goal or reach the destination. But while we're treading this path, there will be so many allurement. Allurement means attraction. And that attraction is what we have been conditioned. Because we have this body, we have the mind, we have material desires, and the conditioning of false bodily identification, and also material contamination based upon the modes of material nature. So we must become free from material desires, and that can only be achieved by coming in contact with the Supreme Purifier, Lord Krishna. So the chanting of the holy names is the all in all, because it's the prime benediction for us, and that prime benediction connects us with what we're longing for. And it is an experience we must experience every moment of our life. It is the experience that will give us the water we need, the air we breathe, that gives us life, not this body. Then we can be with wisdom, Satchitananda, with wisdom of how to use this body to please God, to be connected with the Supreme Person. Prior to coming in contact with this science, the conditioning has been to extract, to squeeze, to taste sweetness through this dead body, through the senses, dictated by the desire in the mind. That's why a person who is in this quagmire or in this is very there's so many material desires, innumerable. So a person is confused. So the process is to be very fixed. And how to be very fixed? With understanding the wisdom of our eternality. I am a different energy from matter, and after realizing that and understanding that, we can be fixed to understand that, yes, no matter how much I try to find happiness in a different energy, I will not be happy. I will experience flickering enjoyment, flashing enjoyment, but it does not last. It's not enough to satisfy what I'm longing. That's why it's described here. The ocean of the desert is like so vast, and what will satisfy it is an ocean of water. And what is that all about? It is God's unlimited power, which is based upon compassion and love to protect us. So, when we make progress in our spiritual practice, we take care of the garden in our heart. We take care of the seed that is planted in our heart, and it grows and grows. And the more we chant, the more we follow the footsteps of the saintly person, we develop this enthusiasm. We become enthusiastic, meaning we have this drive now to chant because it connects our love, our heart with what we're longing for, and it's so satisfying that we don't give up. Even though a person who's making progress in his spiritual life, he may just be in one place, but his meditation is focused upon the chanting of the holy names. His happiness is continuous because it gives him connection with the source of happiness. So he's not diverted from all the allurements that is being put in front of him through the senses. Because you, the person, we are the king of this body, looking through the windows, the eyes, the ears, the mouth, the nose. We are the owner temporary of this kingdom. And what do we do with this kingdom? Okay? So if you try hard to try to defeat, hurdle, declare a war upon what is not in harmony with God's will, then you have to face an enemy that will cover you, you become subservient, you become enslaved, because material nature is very powerful. And it will put you in a situation wherein you will be driven by material desires. And when a person is driven by material desires, motivated by passion, he cannot be very fixed with his focus, because your senses will all be agitated. The sense to eat, the sense to enjoy in sexual pleasure, the sense of thinking and feeling and willing with the mind, it simply focuses upon trying to find relief, not happiness, relief from the suffering we are experiencing. That's why when a person is empty-hearted, desert world, the mind will give impetus. Why don't you go to the movies? Okay? Why don't you go to another place? Why don't you meet a friend? It's always like that, giving you input. Maya gives you input. Because Maya, the illusory energy, is the person who holds the string that shackles us, that it's like we're ensnared, where we got stuck in the spider web, and it's just watching. She's just watching. But if we make this decision in our life to follow the footsteps of the saintly person as what we've been given, then there's an opportunity for us to persevere, meaning to make a stand, because it will connect us with what we're longing for. The happiness, the shelter, the friend we're longing for. Krsna, the Supreme Person. So that becomes our focus in life. And we become faithful. This faith becomes so fixed. Then we develop this, when our faith has become so strong and fixed, we experience different flavors in serving God. in our service. Just like you've been given this process of chanting, bowing down, dancing in front of the deity, preparing food for Lord Krishna, it becomes now a motivation of an offering with what you can do practically with your daily life. For example, you're an artist. You can paint Krishna and you can do something to propagate the holy names. If you're a mother, you can take care of your child so the child can be focused in, assist the child to be focused with what she should be focusing or he should be focusing to do the will of God, to serve, love God. The mind will always be unsatisfied. So if the weighing scale for happiness will be based upon material consideration, then you'll never stop. Because your love will be directed and be motivated by lust. And lust will be a search for what we're longing for, unlimited craving for happiness, which is now directed upon this temporary world. So, if you make progress, you can be just the witness of what's happening and carry on with your work. You'll not be interested with people's imperfection, people's lack of understanding, but you'll be very focused upon listening to your Gurudev. Because when you begin to listen to other people who are materially conditioned, those individuals are influenced by material nature. They're agents of illusion and Maya. And you follow them. What will happen? The blind will lead the blind. Then you get lost. So it's very important to be very focused with what is eternal. And it's about our eternality. It's our natural position to be rendering love and service to the Supreme Person and an experience of happiness when we are connected with the source of pleasure. And the easiest path is the chanting of the holy names, because the giver of pleasure is Lord Krishna. So when we make progress, we'll be very focused, we will persevere. We will not be diverted by all the crocodiles, all the howling of the dogs who are predators of this world. Because there are individuals who are contaminated with materialism and they have this tendency to control other people. They may be chanting, They can have devotees' names, but their goal in life is to have followers, manipulate people to do what they want according to what they think, what is devotional service. And they put you in the box, And that relationship is very painful because it's based upon lust and anger. It's not based upon compassion. So, how can we make progress in spiritual life? Is by following the footsteps of the saintly person. And that path is based upon compassion and love. And if that is our life, then when we deal with someone in this world, our brothers and our sisters, it will be a relationship of friendship and compassion. Not anymore, I need you because, you scratch my back, I scratch your back, You're using one another. It's not anymore like that. And if that is the relationship of our progress with our faith in following the footsteps of the saintly person, then we will be living a life of a teacher by example. Because you can only give what you have. So if you don't have Krishna, you don't have this affection and love for Krishna, what can you give? How can you relate to individuals? How can we become pleasing to the Supreme Person? That's why Lord Chaitanya advises us to follow the chanting of the holy names and to be very fixed. And he teaches us how we can be very fixed. To feel this humbleness. Okay. Feeling lower than anybody else. Not desiring respect. Not being number one devotee on the shit pile. No. The devotee or a real devotee is someone who takes shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. He offers respect to everyone. He does not need anyone for that satisfaction he's longing. But rather, his relationship is a relationship of friendship and compassion because he knows that if a person whom he associates with can remember Lord Krishna, okay, think of Lord Krishna, then there's no load for him because he's not playing God. Like all these individuals, see the individuals, when they see people who are chanting, they want to be the leader, they don't even understand clearly that those individuals have a relationship with Krishna. They should not interfere. Okay? They can discuss. Association with devotees is about reading what is the guidance, how we can make progress in spiritual life. It is not interfering from someone who's trying to relate to Lord Krishna. Because number one, you're not God. You're not the Lord within the heart. So it means there is an attraction to have followers. Okay? There is an attraction in the mode of passion to have control. Okay? So that's third prayer of Lord Chaitanya, feeling lower than the straw in the street. Humbleness. Not feeling any higher than anybody. So he's respectful about his relationship and other relationship with Lord Krishna. So the gathering and association is about the glorification of the teachings of the saintly person. It's not about my teaching. How I can manipulate you. How I can control you. How I can just to the people, look, I am guiding all these people who are chanting because I found them. This is nonsense. Because you're not Krishna. Okay, you become misdirected because attraction for Maya is very strong. So Maya dangles it. Okay? Well, how do Maya dangles it? By covering us with the mode of passion. We want wealth. We want to enjoy different forms. Okay? We want followers. Because that is the focus of our conditioning by material nature to have security. Not understanding that we come here with nothing, we're gonna live with nothing. Is it clear? Okay? So the more we chant, the more we associate with the saintly person through their guidance, the more we see with clarity how we relate to God. Not from someone who tells, oh, he's a devotee, who cares, okay? You only listen to the saintly person, follow their footsteps, the spiritual master whom Lord Krishna gives us a vision. This is my devotee, even for a moment. And how do we see the spiritual master? We see him as not different from God because he's the representative of God. Okay? So someone who is not God cannot make believe. He can guide people, individuals or living entities by his own power. That is an illusion, no? It's an illusion. And it leads misery to others, to himself also, because there's no happiness there. So spiritual life, following the footsteps of the saintly person, is very important because the spiritual master is very grave. Grave means very serious. If you're given instruction and you don't follow it, whom will you listen? Your mind? Other people who are influenced by material nature? So the main focus of our practice is to associate with the saintly person, follow their instruction, glorify the holy names, glorify the Supreme Person, and that association just simply center around, focus upon pleasing and glorifying Lord Krishna. Then we'll be very safe. Not about someone who was able to discover, according to him, people who are chanting and now he wants to lead them. You're not Krishna. You're not the Lord within the heart. And you can never satisfy what they're longing for. This lordship mentality is so ingrained in us. That's why we're here. Even in the name of so-called spiritual practice, we think, I will guide them. Who is our guidance? The Lord within the heart, the Paramatma, or what the Christian calls the Holy Spirit. And how do we listen to the Lord within the heart? Through the guidance of Scripture and the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master who is the representative of Lord Krishna. So we're very safe because the situation we're facing is very grave. Because this is a very dangerous word. This is a very dangerous word because there are so many predators. Alam niyo yung predators when you're in the jungle? Yung predators, nandun yung crocodile, nandun yung hyena, nandun yung lion. The lions are there and it's a jungle. So this is the jungle of material life. And those who are predators are materialists, impersonalists, Johnnies, okay, who shows so-called, showcase program of spiritual life just to manipulate you. And it is, even though they talk about wellness, but it's connected simply about the wellness of having this body. But what will you do with this body? We must have this wisdom that this body is God's grace upon us. So we can use this body to connect ourselves, by using this body in the service of God through the process guided by the spiritual master, not by someone who thinks that what is vegan because you're not eating milk, drinking milk. Is it spiritual life? No. The monkeys here, the pigeons are vegetarians. Okay? There's only one path, one religion. The other religion is materialism. It can be in the disguise of socialism, capitalism, social programs. But if there's no chanting of the holy names, it's atheism. Atheism means no God. So where we do stand if we don't have this path? Okay, we're ignorant. You'll be lost. You'll be in this desert. You'll be in this jungle, and the predator will just eat you, manipulate you. So we must be very, very careful to follow someone, and that someone must be guided by God, not someone who is desire-driven, who has material consideration. What are material consideration? To enjoy in the mode of goodness. Alam mo yung goodness? To have calmness, I'm vegan, I'm vegetarian, I'm this nice place, it's cool, The spiritual master is transcendental to that. And the passion, he's master of his senses. Senses means the mind. He can control the urge of the mind, the belly and the genitals. And that person can guide us because he is transcendental to material consideration. Not someone who wants followers. What can you give? Nothing. Just wishful thinking, And time moves so fast. That's why it's very important that we have this understanding of God's love and compassion for us so we can understand our true transcendental nature, our position and function, and appreciate God's love for us by using this body to connect ourselves with what is pleasing to Him. And with our conditioning previously, we have engaged in so many activities, sinful activities, karmatic activities. But it does not matter because Lord Chaitanya is the most munificent, merciful person. He does not take offenses. He simply wants us to taste what we're longing for, the nectar we're longing for, this relationship with the Supreme Person, because that is the longing of the Supreme Person that we engage in His loving service. But He does not force us. No? He's just simply there waiting for us. When we are in meditation, we are focused upon the direction and the guidance of a saintly person. We are guided by Scripture, the Lord within the heart, and our spiritual master who is not different from God, who can give us the holy names, because only someone who is a lover of God can teach us how to love God. So that becomes our life, what we cling on, our shelter. So what wealth do you have? All of you here. What wealth do you have? You come here with nothing, you're gonna live with nothing. Okay? So what is real wealth? It is what is inseparable from us. Our love, our affection, and that affection should be connected in harmony with the wisdom, the will of the Supreme Person, His enjoyment, His happiness, that we engage in His loving service, guided by His confidential loving servant. That is the path of Lord Chaitanya.
Not this path wherein, oh, he's a devotee, grapevine, you know. I saw he's a devotee, he belongs there, he belongs there. He's confidential. Okay. And that's why it's very safe when we practice a path that is eternal, transcendental, guided by the saintly person, by God Himself, because our basis for following, understanding, will be very focused and eternal. Okay? Simply, if someone tells you something, you can check what you're saying is not in harmony with what my Gurudev, what scripture, the Lord within the heart is saying. And your attitude is not what I see from my spiritual master. How can you be able to give the holy names to people in general? How do you? By being responsible with our relationship with God. Where do we put our heart, our responsibility? The responsibility under the guidance of Maya is based upon the responsibility of trying to accumulate all these material things. Either followers, beautiful women, wealth. That is our focus and shelter. And with the wisdom, we know that we come here with nothing, we cannot live with nothing. So what do we really have? What wealth do we have? What is your wealth? What is your treasure? Where your treasure is, that's where your mind will go. Where your heart is, your love is. So if you're impulse bodily identification, your affection will be conditioned. You'll only love what is connected with your pulse ego, your body. My son, my daughter. You'll not be able to see spirit soul. So the first process of purification is the chanting of the holy names. Because from that point, you will realize and understand your true eternal identity. Not just, you're not the body, you're not the body. You'll be seeing the spirit soul. On a practical example, on a practical daily activities we do every day, you are able to relate to spirit soul, and that relationship will be based upon what is pleasing to Lord Krishna. To work together to please Krishna. To follow what is pleasing to the spiritual master. Because if we don't have this guidance of following the footsteps of the saintly person, we will be guided by material nature, which is based upon the conditioning we did have previously. Okay? Now you are in this position. You are able to see what treasure you have. So where your heart is, that's where your mind will go. So now we're guided. So we should be very aware of this guidance to be able to help others also. Because when we chant the holy names, we experience connection with the all-compassionate Supreme Person. And the fruit of chanting the holy names is we experience also compassion for others. We don't see others to use, to manipulate, to squeeze happiness, thinking my follower, my student. Okay? People ask me, how did they chant? You're so stupid. They did not chant because of me. It is Krishna. Okay? They ask questions like, how come? And those individuals who think they're so great, look what I did. I'm great. I can influence people to chant. But that is not our focus. Our focus is that we simply follow the process of Lord Chaitanya based upon His love and compassion, and our medium will be based upon that focus. We can persevere, we can engage in austerities because of our love becoming so close and stronger that our life now is simply doing the will of God. And you're able to experience this humbleness, humility, and respect for others. Not thinking you're great. Okay? You may be in the wrong direction, The spiritual master, our Gurudev, because he's not different from Krishna, he gives us the holy names. He gives us love for the holy names that purifies us from this material conditioning, that uncovers what is inherent in us. We don't ask him, give me love, because love is inherent in us. The problem is we have misdirected what is inherent, inseparable from us. Is it clear? You see how much affectionate we are with someone or kinship. My son, my daughter. Okay? We must transcend this false bodily identification until and unless we have transcended false bodily identification. Let's not discuss about love for God. Or we'll just simply be sentimentalist and sahaji and thinking we're on the highest stage of love for God. And we're thinking we're devotees. Okay? What is a devotee then? Lord Chaitanya was asked, who are you? Are you a sannyasi? What are you? And Lord Chaitanya said, I am the servant of the servant of the servant 100 times, the servant of Radha and Krishna. My spiritual master, he has this prayer which is connected with the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, the third prayer. Not trying to get ahead or be the best devotee, yet using all the initiative to serve, thus sit the devotees closest to my heart. To serve with purity. Not to serve because you want to get something. Okay? So when you go to this convention, look what I did. I was able to find this treasure of people chanting, and I will guide them. You're on the wrong track, kid. Let us not be misled by the influence of Maya. Let us be led by the holy names, by pure love of God. Okay? Although we know, we do understand, I'm very far, but still, I'm sinful, I'm not qualified, but Lord Krishna, our Gurudev, wants us to be connected with that loving service. So that should be our focus. Haribol, namaste.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Pura Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestayate.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Pura Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestayate.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Hari Bol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama.
Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Haribo Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Haribo Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Haribo Krishna.
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Haribo Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Haribo Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Haribo Krishna.
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Haribo Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Haribo Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Haribo Krishna.
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Haribo Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gauranga,
Haribo Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Haribo Krishna.
Jaya Jaya Gauranga.
Gopala Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga.
Jaya Jaya Srila
Haribo
Prabhupada,
Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Haribo Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada,
Haribo Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda,
Haribo Krishna,
Ananta Paramahamsa,
Haribo Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda,
Haribo Krishna,
Ananta Paramahamsa.
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namine, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestayate.